Good afternoon and welcome to the New York City Council preliminary budget hearing on technology. At this time, can everybody please silence your cell phones? If you wish to testify, please go to the back of the room to fill out a testimony slip. At this time and going forward, no one is to approach the dais. I repeat, no one is to approach the dais. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Good afternoon, thank you, and welcome to our March hearing. I'm Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez, and I'm the chair of the Committee on Technology. Before we jump in today, I want to set the stage a bit for this budget hearing. This committee traditionally did not have a standalone preliminary budget hearing, but it was clear from very early on that the importance of having some oversight of the investments and programs that OTI was tasked with ahead of the budget cycle. Many of the programs this agency is responsible for and building affect not just every agency, but all New Yorkers. I also want to spend some time on OTI's recent announcement of their roadmap for digital equity. I've spent a long time here at hearings, both with OTI here and with advocates talking about the fight for digital equity, and I've passed legislation to advance it, and I was not a part of this roadmap, so I look forward to the commissioner and the agency's highlight of the rollout and this roadmap. Again, would love to be a part of these collaborations in the future. Today, we'll focus on the major pillars of OTI's work that touch New Yorkers, broadband, and Big Apple Connect, the Internet Master Plan, My City Portal, Link NYC, and technology contracts. We need clarity on the specifics of the new needs, and we need them explained in concise layman's terms. We will also hopefully dive into some more structural questions about how we are spending our tax dollars. Are we outsourcing our tech expertise at an unsustainable scale? Are we building a city that is entirely dependent on contracts that funnel public dollars to private companies in perpetuity? Because if that is the case, it's not sustainable and is not an investment in our own city. We have a lot to discuss, and I expect direct, transparent answers. Today, I look forward to hearing from Commissioner Frazier. Thank you for being here, as always, and providing us with brief and concise answers, as well as concerns, public testimony concerns from the public. Finally, I'd like to thank the Technology Committee staff, including Counsel Irene Bayovsky and Policy Analyst Eric Brown, our Finance Analyst Aman Mahadevan, Florentine Kabor, and my Chief of Staff, Anya Lair, for their tremendous work on putting this hearing together. And I'd like to recognize Technology Committee members, Council members Bob Holden, and is that all? And that's it for now. I'll pass it on to Irene. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I kindly ask all of you to raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and respond honestly to council member questions? Commissioner Frazier?
I do.
Commissioner Pemberton?
I do.
Thank you. And Ms. Sinadas?
I do, thank you.
Thank you very much. You can begin your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chair Gutierrez and members of the Council Committee on Technology. My name is Matthew Frazier, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer of the City of New York. With me are Edwin Pemberton, the Office of Technology and Innovation's Deputy Commissioner for Management and Budget, and Chantel Senadas, OTI's Deputy Commissioner for Legal Matters. Thank you for the opportunity today to speak about OTI's fiscal year 2026 preliminary budget, our recent accomplishments, and our priorities for the coming year. Since day one of this administration, I've led the city's vast tech portfolio under Executive Order 3, which covered the city's previously disparate technology offices under one roof with a clear vision to make government run better and expand digital equity. As the city's Chief Technology Officer, I'm proud to spearhead citywide projects that democratize access to technology, improve the public's interaction with city government, and help our fellow agencies leverage tech to accomplish their mission. One area where we've significantly improved the lives of New Yorkers is through our digital equity initiatives. Under this administration, New York City provides more residents with free internet than any other city in the nation, and supplies equitable access to devices, digital skills training, and additional support programs to ensure New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs are equipped to use the internet. Big Apple Connect, the nation's largest municipal subsidized broadband program, continues to provide free broadband and basic cable access to over 330,000 New Yorkers and 220 NYCHA sites. Just last week, we unveiled the New York City Digital Equity Roadmap, a dedicated program of initiatives and investments designed to ensure safe and equitable access to broadband, internet services, and the skills to support the use of it. This thoughtfully researched report, which includes contributions from several other agencies, fully takes stock of the resources the city has to tackle the digital divide while proposing short and long-term initiatives to build on existing programs. Notably, we're making a $2.4 million investment to upgrade technology in older adult centers, libraries, and the NYCHA digital van program. Additionally, we intend to release a request for expressions of interest, RFEI, to further explore how the public infrastructure can improve digital equity outcomes. We also leverage existing partnerships to expand the programs that provide devices and skills training, and will create opportunities for robust coordination through a digital equity working group led by a new chief digital equity officer at OTI. I look forward to partnering with council to accomplish these goals. Our commitment to setting milestones and fulfilling them is evident through the progress made through the New York City Artificial Intelligence Action Plan, the nation's first broad AI governance plan. This pioneering effort provides city agencies with the necessary framework to evaluate AI tools and associated risks, helps the city government employees build knowledge and skills, and supports the implementation of these tools to benefit New Yorkers. Within a year of its launch, we've exceeded our own expectations by starting or completing 31 of the 37 actions. We've published a guide of policy documents and established an AI steering committee and an AI advisory network of experts from private industry, higher education, and nonprofits. These efforts ensure that our agencies have the framework to responsibly and effectively use AI to better serve New Yorkers. This month, we will celebrate the second anniversary of the launch of My City, our one-stop shop for essential city services and benefits. The site features impactful public-facing programs, including a simplified child care subsidy application, a redesigned Jobs NYC website, and an improved business site. We've also created a common services portal within My City that will allow other city agencies to integrate systems into the My City umbrella. Most recently, we launched a benefit screening tool that allows account holders to opt in for screening for eligibility for additional services. In addition, we're pursuing innovative opportunities to save taxpayers' dollars. Our recent announcement of T-Mobile as a major wireless carrier for the city of New York leverages the city's bulk purchasing power rather than individual agencies negotiating their own contract to achieve millions of dollars in savings on the cost of city-issued mobile devices. This deal will also bolster the city's public safety network and will make mobile plans more affordable for city employees. Before I get into the budget numbers, I want to highlight OTI's success in promoting minority women-owned business enterprises. In fiscal year 2024, OTI processed 246 MWBE procurements totaling more than $83.4 million in contracts. We also made the most frequent use of any agency of the MWBE non-competitive small purchasing method, capitalizing on the evolution of citywide policies and initiatives in recent years to diversify the business and business owners receiving contracts in the city. Finally, I'd like to briefly summarize OTI's budget. OTI's fiscal year 2026 preliminary budget allocates approximately $743.2 million in expense funds. Of this, approximately $176.9 million are for personnel services to support the 1,545 full-time positions, and $566.3 million are for other than personnel services. The preliminary budget has a net increase of $75.7 million for fiscal year 26. The PS expense budget increased by 35 positions, and the OTPS expense budget increase was largely attributed to the Asylum Seekers Program, Child Care Program, MAP, and grant funding. Our capital funding for fiscal year 26 totals $203 million for projects related to IT modernization, cybersecurity, 311, and emergency communication systems upgrades. The fiscal year 26 preliminary budget revenue plan is approximately $141.4 million. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I will now take council member questions.
Thank you. I'd also just like to recognize Councilmember Brewer, who's just joined us. And thank you so much, Commissioner. So I wanted to start with the My City portal. Can you share the funding allocated for fiscal year 25 and FY 2026 for My City? Just the dollar amounts.
Yeah, for the specifics around the budget allocation for my city, I defer to the Deputy Commissioner of Management and Budget.
Okay, thank you.
For my city, fiscal year 2025, the budget is $14 million. And for fiscal year 26, it's $5.7 million.
Okay, and is there anything that you can share on the difference in funding streams? Just if you can explain a little bit about the amount of investment, the decision behind the difference in investment year to year?
We have to do like projections on what portals are actually going to be established. So every year we work with the city on deciding the cost of those portals. So we work with OMB to get funding annually for my city.
Right, and so can you just explain what the, I'd like to recognize Committee Member, Councilmember Julie Wan, who's joined us. 14 million in FY 2025, 5.7 in 2026. Is there anything specific that you want to highlight as to what the difference is? Like, why so much less?
Yeah, so the first phase of my city was focused around childcare. It was building a use case that we could test very quickly that covered a necessary gap in city services. So when we started with childcare, we got a lot of success behind that. We expanded to the business portal, and then beyond the business portal, we expanded to add chat capabilities. Since then, we built an integration pipeline so that city agencies can more easily build integrations into the My City umbrella. So when we look across the last fiscal year 25's lion's share of the work was focused on building a common services portal. So when you think about common services, you think about things like authentication when you sign into a website, integration of data sources, a data pipeline, and then a content store, a single place where you can store information, and building a guidebook so that agencies, as they look to build into the My City framework, they have a guide that shows them how to build those integrations in place. So a lot of that work was necessary so that in the future phases, the developments would become less expensive, and it also created a proper foundation so that we don't have to build the same components over and over again.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Can you share how many contracts have been registered for the development and maintenance of My City portal?
Yeah, for the specifics on the number of contracts, I defer to the Deputy Commissioner of Management and Budget.
For my city, it's a total of 78 contracts, total in value of 76.9 million since it started.
Since it started, and do you have the projection for FY 2026 of the contract value?
FY 26, $5.7 million.
That's the budget
That's the
before
budget.
contracts, yeah.
Total number of contracts.
No, I don't have that number of how many contracts. Most of our contracts are multi-year, and it's pretty much, some of them stop, each fiscal year, so I could get that number.
So
how much will actually be ongoing for
Okay,
26.
thank you. And so just to confirm, the 78 is for FY 25?
Right.
Confirmed.
So 78 includes the total value of all the contracts spent for my city.
Okay, up until now, okay. Can you share how many vendors are currently working on the My City portal?
How many vendors? You mean consultants? You mean number of individual companies?
Yeah, exactly. Just the folks, I know that at the last hearing that we had, I don't have the exact number, but just wanted to see, yeah, how many folks you're directly contracting with for the build out of the site.
So each vendor is a contract. So the number I mentioned, 78.
Oh, so those are just the
different-
vendors.
yes,
Okay.
Different contract.
Okay. Were there any RFPs issued to select these vendors?
These vendors are based on,
Or the contracts, excuse me, in your terms. Was there any RFP? Was there any, like, process or public-facing process?
most of them, we try to do MWBEs, and it's competitive, yes.
Okay, so all the, and, you know, I don't want to skip the fact that, you know, you've done a great deal working with MWBEs. I think that's great. So of these MWBEs that you included in your opening testimony responded to RFPs, for
RFPs,
example?
yes.
For example? Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
And specific to my city, the same process? There was an
Yes.
RFP that went out?
Yeah.
That's correct.
So traditionally with programs like this, instead of having 78 contracts, you would have one master agreement that you would issue to a major systems integrator, and that systems integrator would bring in resources as you need it. With my city, we shifted the approach. Instead of having one master systems integrator, we spread the work throughout the MWBE community so we could diversify the city spend while capitalizing on the talent that's in that pool.
Thank you. Is OTI at this phase, is OTI able to maintain the system independently, or is maintenance also part of the contracts with these vendors?
As we're in an expansion phase, for the components that have been delivered, the lion's share of those services are being maintained by the OTI support team. But as we continue to build out new components and new capabilities, naturally we're going to have to train people up on what's being delivered so that we can continue to maintain it.
But is the goal for maintenance of every phase and every aspect of the My City portal, is the goal that maintenance will be 100% maintained or done by OTI?
Yeah, that's the overall goal for all the technology we deliver, to ensure the city can support it in the event of anything happening, whether that's funding dissipating or contracts or contractors going away.
Commissioner, I know in one of our first hearings about the My City portal, I know the goal was to build it in-house, and obviously now there are third-party vendors to build it out. Can you clarify if there's any of the rollout or initial work of the My City portal that's done in-house? Is any of the phase, besides maintenance, is any of that done in-house?
Yeah, there was a significant amount of work done in-house. Everything from the user-centric design, getting feedback from the user community about the existing portals, their existing experience, the existing application process. All of that stuff was done in-house. The initial design work and development of the initial proof of concept, that was done in-house. But as we built out capabilities that stretched the city's tech talent, we naturally had to branch out and bring in resources to help us do that.
Okay. I have here that a significant amount of the contracts for this portal are with 3 vendors, more or less. I'm going to read them off. Can you confirm?
Are with, I'm sorry, I didn't.
With the following, I'm just going to read off like three vendors that it seems like there's multiple contracts with. If you could just confirm. I have Innovative Business Concepts. Does that sound familiar?
Innovative.
Does that can you confirm if that is a vendor that the OTI is in contract with regarding My City?
Yes, IBC, yeah.
Okay, sorry, at Rangam Consultants?
Rangam, that sounds familiar, yep.
Okay, and then Unique Comp, Inc.?
Unique Comp,
Yes.
That-
Yes,
Yes,
okay.
correct.
And they have multiple contracts. Is there anything that you can share as specifically just these 3, but why you're having multiple contracts with the same vendors?
So when you put things out to a pool of vendors to respond to, depending on who responds, the cost of their response and the quality of the proposal, decisions are made then on who's selected. And those decisions are made by the subject matter experts that are actually doing the work.
Okay. And then, Commissioner, I think at the last hearing in the fall, we spoke about a roadmap, just to give a sense to us and to New Yorkers, kind of like what's the next phase, the next rollout of My City. I think you shared there would be some kind of a roadmap. I think we even said I'd have it before I was back from maternity leave. So curious kind of where we're at with the roadmap for My City, just understanding what the next phase is. Do you recall? Do you remember?
Yeah, so we do have a roadmap that's been created that shows where we'll be through the next 2 years for the My City program, showing the phases that we're looking to expand to, including housing, where we're including to the housing space and other benefits we're looking to consolidate into the portal. We can certainly, outside of this, follow up with council and provide a copy of that.
The roadmap is not public.
The roadmap is not public, no.
Okay. Is there an intention to make it public, just so New Yorkers can anticipate?
Yeah, so very similar to what we've done with the last version of our strategic plan. When we initially delivered it, we delivered it with a 3-year timeline, which brings us to where we are now. When we update that timeline and we update the strategic plan, it will also include developments, including My City.
Yeah, we would love to see that. And you said the roadmap has timelines?
Yeah, there's a roadmap exclusive to the My City program that's outside of the strategic plan update, but we can share that, and that has timelines around delivery.
Is there any piece on the childcare platform? Are there any changes? Are there any modifications specifically on the childcare front? I know that that's probably I think numerically the most successful part of the platform. Is there any modifications or anything that you can share with us about that piece?
Yeah, so we've made a lot of updates to childcare. So the initial wave was initial applications. We've done initial applications. We've done renewals. We've done conjunctive eligibility reviews. We've done a number of updates in that space. The next phase is also going to include a map of childcare-related facilities that are available beyond just applying for the service. You can see where you could actually use the benefits once you get them.
Okay, great. And is there, if you can share, is there any, the communication between the applicant, let's say someone is applying for childcare, is that communication then directly going through DOE or ACS and the applicant, or does OTI play some role in like the communication?
So the communication between the applicant and the provider or the processor of the application is directly between them and the servicing agency. So if for the Child Care universe you have ACS, DSS, and DOE are the 3 fulfilling agencies. So depending on what program the person applies for, it's likely that they would get their responses are going to be exclusive to the agency that services this particular type of childcare that they applied for, unless their application switches or they change the type of childcare that they're applying for, then it'll be redirected to a
So that's
different
directly
agency.
with the
Directly with the agencies
Okay,
themselves, not with
wonderful.
us.
Thank you. I want to jump to Big Apple Connect.
Yep.
So I just wanted to get a sense. I know in FY26, there's it's included in the preliminary budget to fund Big Apple Connect. Can you share a little bit about FY27, 28, and just in the out years? What is the plan today for keeping the program fully funded and functioning?
Yeah, so Big Apple Connect, as many may remember, we repurposed money that was baselined in OTI's budget to support the NiceWin network. We've since used the NiceWin money to cover the costs associated with Big Apple Connect.
And can you confirm, was that capital or always expense?
That was expense funding.
Always expense, okay.
Yeah, so NiceWin was baselined in what was then known as Do It's budget at over $47 million annually. Big Apple Connect, as we currently sit, it's around $38 million. And we repurposed the NiceWin money to do Big Apple Connect. So part of the agreement that was in place was that the Big Apple Connect term was initially for 3 years. We are in that renewal of that term, and going forward, it is our expectation that the funding associated with Big Apple Connect will be rebaselined in OTI's operating budget, so that it's not a year-to-year conversation. It's going to be part of our operating expense going forward.
Okay. But right now, so we have it for, the conclusion of that term was FY26, sorry, was FY26, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. And then, do you have a projection for what the potential budget would be in FY27 and FY28 if
So
baselined?
we expect to bring adoption up right now. Currently, we're over 80% adoption across all of public housing. We're looking to bring that up to as close to 100% as we can get, and that should fit within the baseline of what we had as part of the NICE-WIN funding.
But what do you know what that amount would be?
Yeah, so as it stands right now, based on our projected rate of growth, we won't be a far departure from where we are right now. I think we're, what's the exact number?
39.4.
39.4.
So,
I think at its peak, our projections take it as high as 42.
okay.
All right, so it's not a far departure from where we currently are.
Okay. I think we were informed that there would be a dashboard for the breakdown of subscription rates that would be shared. Do you know if the dashboard was ever shared with the council?
The dashboard was created, and I believe the links were shared. If you don't have access, we can make sure that you get access.
Okay. 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 I want to ask specifically about an organization that we've met with that was providing that was providing broadband. They're called People's Choice Communication. And they claim that they were delivering free internet to over 1,000 NYCHA households in 2022. They said that they reached out to OTI, was unsuccessful in connecting with OTI. Their offer was denied. And the Big Apple Connect program, you can confirm, is in contracts currently with just two providers, correct? Spectrum and Altice?
So we have rates available from Spectrum and Altice, which covers 100% of public housing, and the other third major franchisee is Verizon.
Is Verizon, okay. Sorry, back to the People's Choice Communications. They claim that they were providing the service to public housing for free. And so if you are aware of that, my question to you is why they were denied the offer for free internet service to continue providing that service to NYCHA at no cost, instead of continuing the contract or keeping that contract with Spectrum, Altice, and now Verizon, because Verizon was not a part of the launch.
So we tried to incorporate all three as part of the launch. It was largely based on rate plans. And the two that have primary dominance was because they provided rate plans that were cheaper than Verizon.
Cheaper than People's Choice, than a free service provider?
So free is, I think that's a novel term. I doubt that it was being provided for free, but we can check on that. I think if you look at the state of affairs when we came in, NYCHA had an RFEI where they had a lot of small providers that were at the table that were charged with providing access. Access in public housing at those rates were around 50%, maybe lower than that in some places. And they were put to the test to deliver service, and they failed. We stepped in less than a year, and we provided over, not 1,000, but 330,000 people with access. And that's because when we came in right after COVID, when everyone was sent home, they didn't have access. And for all of the small providers, we are excited to work with them, but we can't work with them when the cost is the people that are dependent on the service not having it.
Is there any intention to work with a provider like this one or any other of the internet service providers that have been working in a lot of these communities as part of an expansion or a stabilization of Big Apple Connect? I know as part of the plan that was released last week, there's the intention or the goal to continue to expand into Section 8, potentially residences. What is the role that some of these smaller ISPs will play in that?
Yeah, so I'd say Big Apple Connect as a program is more than just connectivity. It's connectivity and basic TV. So it's two service offerings that's incorporated as part of one program.
Okay.
Currently, the major franchisees that can provide cable in addition to broadband, it's limited to Charter Communications, Altice, and Verizon. Those are the three that sit on the franchise that are capable of providing it in those spaces. And we are currently looking to expand our service offerings for connectivity well beyond public housing into other spaces where people have applied for services like, as you said, like Section 8, or in some cases, if you are, we've got some announcements that will be coming soon that will cover other large parts of the population. We're seeking to leverage, like we've shown evident from our tech spend, the MWB community as much as possible. As it stands right now, we are the agency that has the highest utilization of MWBE contracts. That tells you that we're serious about spending in these spaces. However, we will not make, I'm reluctant to make a commitment about something that will not yield tangible results for the people that need access to services. And we are constantly working with these providers to see how they can help us in the mission provide quick and fast access to the people that need it.
Okay, just on some of the, on a provider like People's Choice or just smaller, are you taking meetings with some of these providers that were providing some level of service? Are you, are they included in some kind of a process to at least compete for the ability to provide a service?
Yeah, so we have taken meetings across the board. OTI is a public services entity. We're not closing the door on anyone on having a meeting. In terms of providing services and contracts, as we make contracts available in certain spaces, they may openly apply to those contracts. Big Apple Connect, as I mentioned, it's not just a broadband services contract, it's a broadband and cable TV services contract, which they're not eligible to apply for because they don't provide one of those services.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna stop there on that. On the future of Big Apple Connect, I know you mentioned obviously the idea is to secure baseline funding. Is the idea to secure baseline funding to maintain internet for current subscribers at no cost, or to expand? What is it? What is the impact on a somewhat not finite budget at this day for a subscriber, someone who has internet through Big Apple Connect? What does that mean? What is the impact on them next year or in 2 years?
Yeah, so I think when we talk about Big Apple Connect, it's important to get back to the grassroots of why we did it. Working very closely with council members like yourself and Councilmember Julie Wan. One of the first housing developments that we deployed Big Apple Connect at was Queensbridge Houses. When we provided the service, one of the things that we said as a cornerstone is that the service had to be provided like heat and hot water. When you walk into public housing, you don't ask for heat and hot water, it's given as a human right. And today, connectivity is that necessary that it's like running water, it's like heat, you need it. So when we did Big Apple Connect, the goal was to get the service out and get it to people as quickly as possible without putting a tax on them to pay for any part of it. If many of you are familiar, during the time when we launched Big Apple Connect, the federal ACP program was available so people could apply and get access to services. Since the launch of Big Apple Connect, that program has been defunded. And it seems like we've, as an administration, made a lot of smart decisions by standing this up at a time where it was critical, because little did we know a year after we put it in place, the people that were dependent on it would lose it. Our intention is to keep Big Apple Connect the way that it was structured initially and be available to those that live in public housing, those that live in city-provided housing, to have access to services at no cost. In addition to in addition to public housing, it's important to note that we also cover connectivity in city-run family homeless shelters and single shelters today. So that connectivity is expanded beyond.
And that's through Big Apple Connect? That's through Big Apple Connect?
That's just through OTI.
That's
it's
exactly,
a separate program that we run through OTI.
I just want to keep it separate, but.
Yeah.
And so the idea is to continue, if it's no cost today, that securing the baseline funding
Keeps it that way.
keeps it that way.
Yep.
Okay. I am going to pass it, I have more questions, but I'm going to pass to my colleagues. First up, we have Councilmember Juan with questions.
Thank you so much, Chair Gutierrez. Hi, it's good to see you, CTO Frazier. It's
Good to
been
see
a
you.
while. It's great to hear that the funding for Big Apple Connect is going to be baselined. So I just wanted to see the status of Big Apple Connect because, like you said, with ACP being defunded, I know that a lot of our low-income neighbors have been depending on this free internet access because it should be treated like a utility and a basic need in our city. So what is the status now of all of our NYCHAs in New York City being having Big Apple Connect available to them?
Yeah. So as it stands, we're in over 220 developments, and the adoption rates we see to be north of 80% in across the board. That means that there's still 20% of the population that we have to get to.
Okay.
And this summer, we're focused as it gets warmer out to do what we've done historically to raise the numbers, grassroots knocking on doors, putting out flyers, making sure that people are available, and surveying those that aren't taking the service to understand what's the reason why. I mean, I think, in the beginning, there was a lot of concern about a free service being offered by the city,
Right.
and people didn't know whether it would be real or not.
Skeptical.
And I think that with the adoption rates being what they are right now, we're seeing growth, but the growth is not moving as fast as we'd like. So getting out and pushing.
So am I understanding correctly that every single NYCHA in the city of New York now has access to Big Apple Connect?
Yeah, so there's a couple of developments that are as part of the RAD PAC developments, the ones that are privately managed. Those developments, there's a handful of them that are not currently a part of the Big Apple Connect program. It's because as a part of the management deals, broadband was considered as a part of
But the private developers
management
are supposed
deal.
to pay for
So the
them?
private management companies are responsible for establishing that. One of the things that we are looking as an opt-in, as the private management companies step in, giving them an opt-in for Big Apple Connect so they can leverage it, and then we can figure out like the fee structure for that.
Okay. There seems to be an issue also that I want to raise to you that, especially with Spectrum, so I'm hearing from Ravenswood houses, Queensbridge houses, and Woodside houses, if they were initially signed up for ACP, there was no notification or communication to them letting them know that ACP has been sunset.
Oh,
So
wow.
instead of just having them go back to their regular rate, they were now being charged almost double, and they were just slapped with a bill, and there was nothing for them. But from what I understood, Big Apple Connect was supposed to be an auto enrollment if you were a Spectrum customer. But it seems like that it wasn't an auto enrollment for them if they were already an ACP subsidy recipient. So I think we need to make sure that we go back to Optimum, Spectrum, Verizon, whoever the franchisees are that have these contracts, and make it clear to them if they are currently enrolled as a recipient or as a customer, that you have to make sure, especially if they were ACP recipients, that they're no longer being charged. Because we're hearing from constituents that they were just one day they were paying like less than $15 because of ACP, and then all of a sudden now they're paying upwards of $60 to $125.
Yeah. So I will take that feedback back, and I'll meet with and we'll call in the service providers, and we'll get to the bottom of it. Honestly, it's the first that I'm hearing that's an issue. And needless to say, from the day that Big Apple Connect became available, and it was a service offered from the city, and those folks were eligible, they should not be penalized
Right.
for not knowing how to navigate the bureaucracy of updating their rate plan. So let us
So
deal
I
with
think
that.
we just need to communicate that to the franchisees and make
Yep.
sure that we don't have any NYCHA residents that are being charged.
Yep.
Because I think there's also been an issue if, for example, if I'm living with my grandmother in a NYCHA unit and my name is not officially on the lease, then if I were the holder of the Optimum or cable bill, then they say, oh, well, we don't have proof that you live there, or you're not the leaseholder, therefore you're not going to qualify for Big Apple Connect or ACP.
Yeah.
So I think we need to have a clear conversation. I don't know what the contractual agreement was, but if the address is a NYCHA apartment, that they should qualify, not exactly the leaseholder matching up with the person who's paying for the existing service.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback, and what we will do is we'll circle back with the franchisees to make sure that is the case. If the service address is a public housing unit, they're eligible for Big Apple Connect. So I don't understand what the confusion on the franchisee's side may be, but let me take the feedback back and let's see what we can do about it.
Okay, great. And then for the 20% remaining in each NYCHA, if you could send the council members a one-pager or any sort of printout or promotional that we could post on social, or if we can give out at our family days, I'd be happy to do that, especially in my NYCHAs. And then I also had another question about the Is it okay if I ask a few more questions? For the 2.4 million, and before I move on from Big Apple Connect, I just want to triple check. I know that the chair has asked, but we can continue to be rest assured that Big Apple Connect will continue on no matter what happens to the administration, correct?
Yeah, so part of the reason why we put the agreements in place, and I think the importance of baselining the funding, is that smart government should work for the people. We should work for the people that we serve, and smart decisions should carry on regardless of who sits in the seat. The funding being baselined is a very important step, and the contract being extended is another important step. So to the best of our ability, we've put the building blocks in place to ensure that these services can continue into perpetuity, and I do not expect that should change.
Okay, if you need any support, we're here to support you because we do not want any of our NYCHA residents losing this very valuable service. For the 2.4 million investment to upgrade technology in older adult centers, libraries, and for the NYCHA Digital Van Program or the New York City Digital Equity Roadmap, I'm really glad to hear that. We get requests all the time from especially our senior centers at our NYCHAs about how outdated their technology is, especially their laptops or their hardware for their desktops. So do you have a list of who or like which NYCHAs are going to be part of this 2.4 million investment to upgrade their technology?
So what we'll gladly do is we'll work with council with sharing a list of what we've had based on the feedback that we've received, but we're also looking for opportunities where we can do better, right?
Okay.
The city purchases a lot of infrastructure, and when that infrastructure ages out, we have some capabilities to reuse that infrastructure in other places.
Yeah.
The useful life for the equipment may no longer serve city purpose, doesn't mean that it can't be useful to someone else.
Right.
So if we've got areas where we have computers that are a decade old, or we've got areas where we have tablets that are a decade old and we're retiring things out of city service, it might be a good opportunity for us to reuse those to help cover some of these gaps.
Yeah, I would love to make sure that Queensbridge houses, Ravenswood houses, and Woodside houses for their senior center and their youth programming and their libraries within the NYCHAs are in dire need for upgrades of their technology. And we also have partners in district that refurbish and recycle a lot of the hardware so that, because I know firsthand for DOE, they just throw them out on the street.
Yeah.
So if there's ways that we can make sure that you're partnering with people who are dying to take your trash, I would love to make that connection.
Yeah, I think very much like what you've seen with the deal that we recently did with T-Mobile. The city procures a lot, and we have significant buying power. And making smarter decisions around how we leverage our assets, whether that's giving it back to the schools, donating it to areas where other people can use it. I think it's important that we reassess and reevaluate our options in those spaces. And to your point, instead of putting it on the street for it to be taken out with the trash, maybe leveraging it to help an area where we have a critical gap may be a good option for us. But we'll take a look at that and see. Okay.
And my last question is about, I don't have a lot of information on it, but we've heard a lot in bits and pieces especially from health and hospitals while they were running the HERCs, that OTI had built a platform on Host where you were the first centralized platform for all city agencies, including DHS, H&H, OEM, and HPD, were all using a centralized database to collect all of the migrant data that were taken in. Can you give us a status of what that looks like? Who's running that platform? Is it all internal? Is there an external contractor? And what are the boundaries of how you're sharing that information, if at all, with the federal government? Yeah. So when the asylum seeker crisis started to take hold, and we were looking at managing thousands of people coming into the city, we had to upgrade the existing capabilities for the agencies that were providing the shelter services, because their systems weren't built to handle the type of capacity and the specific cases around like the asylum seeker program. The New York City homeless laws and programs were built to shelter New York City homeless. It wasn't, they did not contemplate a humanitarian crisis, right? So out of that was birthed the HOST system. The HOST system was the first case management system that was built to manage intake and distribution of people after they came into the agencies, and then once they got into the agencies' processes took root, and they began to manage those populations while sharing that information back into HOST.
Currently, we are the system's manager, meaning that we build the system and we support it. When it comes to managing the data and the distribution and access of the data, OTI doesn't make decisions in that space. The business owners of the system make the decisions on who has access and what type of access that they should have. In terms of the specific access policies, I would defer to those at DSS, Health and Hospitals, and NISM. They can give more accurate information around who has access, what type of access they have, and what they've authorized.
So which cloud is it on? Is it internal as well?
So the system is built on, the back end of the system is built on Salesforce, on the government cloud, which means it's a US-based cloud, and we use Salesforce as a platform.
Okay, so you guys took an out-of-the-box CRM from Salesforce and customized it for our usage?
That is correct.
Okay, and does Salesforce have access to our data as well that is
Now,
being
so
stored?
the way that customer data is controlled is it's built into a customer tenant. Natively, they do not have access to our tenant, so they can't pull information out. But again, as they are the service provider, I mean, and you factor in any
Right.
possibility,
Yeah.
they provide the service. So it's not inconceivable that they could promote themselves to be a manager in our account. But that would
Yeah.
that has never happened to the best of our knowledge, not just with us, but with any customer. So we have no reason to believe that that would be the case.
Okay, and for the city agencies themselves, you're saying that they independently will choose who they give access to, but can they access each other's data? Because I thought the whole entire point of Host was that they can cross-share the data across all the city agencies.
Yeah, so you have a thing called attribute-based access control, which means that you may be able to see the record, but you may not be able to see specific attributes about the record based on the agency and your role within the agency. So we've been very careful about when we share information, making sure that people only got the information that they needed to do their specific function, and not oversharing information that gives people too much.
Okay, my last question before I wrap up is, are you concerned at all that Salesforce, if they were subpoenaed to give the information, that they would have to the federal government?
I'm not concerned in the slightest, and part of the reason for that is because this challenge is not, or this environment is not unlike any other challenge that they would face legally for any other thing that they would need access to. And to the best of our knowledge, our partners in this space, whether it be Salesforce or the parent cloud that they sit on top of, they tend, when it comes to requests for customer data, defer back to the customer to fulfill those requests. Yep.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Juan. Next, we have Councilmember Bottcher, followed by Councilmember Holden, and then Councilmember Brewer.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for the update you provided about the artificial intelligence action plan. I'm really curious to know what we can expect next with
Oh.
respect to AI and city agencies. I know that the plan published guidelines, and per local law 35 by Councilmember Gutierrez, 46 agencies, 46 tools were reported to having been used by city agencies. What functions of city government can we expect to see utilizing AI in the near future?
Yeah. So I think that there's a couple of spaces that we are looking at very diligently, and you'll hear some updates in very soon. So we're going to continue into the communication space. I think chat and communications with the public around streamlining access to city data is important. When you look at 311 as an example, over 70% of the calls that come into 311 are information requests. They don't request a service from an agency. So democratizing access to that information faster to give people answers in real time without waiting to speak to an agent, I think it's going to be big for us. In addition to that, when you look at everything from internal city operations, whether it's drafting memos, drafting any sort of documents, having AI co-pilots as an agent to help assist creating those documents so that you have faster turnaround times for processing information. In addition to that, benefits analysis and eligibility reviews, being able to use AI to do pre-eligibility predeterminations based on pre-approvals for other programs is going to be big. I guess the best way that we can put this is when at home or in your email, you may have a pre-approval notice for a credit card. It tells you apply by a certain date, you approve for a certain amount, certain threshold, and this is what you're pre-approved for. If we can do that for the financial industry, why can't we do that for public service and public benefits? If you applied for childcare, we know what your household looks like, we know what your income looks like, we know what your dependents look like. What other services can we give you a pre-approval for, and how can we use AI to help us do that? So those are some of the areas that we're looking forward to leveraging AI in.
What about contracting, city contracting? One of the challenges that our nonprofits are facing is they're not getting paid. We have nonprofits who haven't received the funding that they were allocated several years ago, and they express great frustration with the process going round and round with city agencies about paperwork, and you forgot to dot an I or cross a T. How are you looking at the potential role of AI to assist with those processes?
Yeah, so I think that's a big challenge. Anyone that's doing business with the city and that's dependent on that reimbursement in order to continue operations and not getting that in a timely manner, it hurts them significantly. We've looked at digitizing a lot of the forms that they have to fill out, and if we can digitize those forms, if we can create a submission process that can validate the documents before they're provided, it could help in alleviating some of the back pressure. I think that's one area where I put that in the general documents processing category, where we can use AI to help us significantly in processing that paperwork. It's a very good use case. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next, we have Councilmember Holden, and followed by Councilmember Brewer.
Thank you for your testimony, Chief. My favorite is the 311 app. I'm going to bring up that question, the funding, because I like how it keeps track of how many complaints I've made, because I think I'm way into the 600s now. But yeah, it's true. Yeah, but I like the improvements, but the budget stays the same for 311, and I know the app is probably a very small part of that budget, right? In developing and upgrading, right?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah. What would you say the percentage is? Like for 311 phone services is 90% of the budget of the 311 budget versus 10% of the app for the app. What would you guess it would be?
So I defer to. Luckily, I don't have to guess. I have the budget person with me. I defer to the.
No, just like a ballpark. It could be. I don't need the exact numbers, but I would say. The app saves people from calling.
Yep.
And it saves time. The only thing is that it's not expanding. First of all, the location services is not improving. It improved a little bit, but still there's a lot of gaps. Parks, we have no addresses for parks. We have no addresses for, we have to get the nearest address, and that sometimes, especially for the police department, is a challenge if you're trying to locate the exact. So I try to estimate, but it's a small percentage of the budget, yet it's probably taking the pressure off the phone service.
Yeah. So I think one of the things with 311 is that 311 has become a victim of its own success. And what I mean by that is 311 was initially created to be a quality of life support line, to take information in, to help provide information on non-emergency related issues. And year by year, initiative by initiative, 311 grows in terms of what its scope is and those type of service we have to support. And with that scope creep, a lot, one of the things you mentioned is like the budget hasn't really changed. So 311 takes on more, alleviates a lot of back pressure off the agencies, but we have to figure out how we do a lot of that stuff with the existing budgets that we have in place. We have a delivery or a backlog in terms of upgrades to the 301 platform that would fix some of the things or add additional enhancements to things like location services. They'll also add enhancements to things like service requests from agencies. So in our pipeline, we have a list of things that are coming out within the next year that will change how 301 looks and feels, the app itself. And as you've seen over the last year, we've made some changes. The year before, we made some significant changes. And we're trying to keep up with the demand that we're getting from both the public.
mean, if you look about, like collection, let's say a missed collection from sanitation turns into 10 or 12 questions.
Yep.
And it shouldn't. It takes you on a roundabout. It's. I mean, I had to use it the other day. The first time I used missed collection, and I said, "This has to be changed.
Yeah.
This cannot stand." So that's why the improvements on complaints. Also, we see a lot of improper registrations throughout the city of New York now, with people trying to get away from the commercial overnights. So they're not registering their vehicles properly.
Sure.
You can't make that complaint during normal hours. You have to make it after 9 p.m. So that's a problem, because that should stand at all hours, improper registration. Somebody has a cargo van and they're claiming it's a regular suburban van. It has no seats in the back, no back window. So it's not adhering to the law. But I can't make that complaint. So I think, I'll write to your office about what I think should be improved, because I use it multiple times every day. Also, MOME, Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment, they got a bump up in 25, like a certain amount, I don't know, 12 million, whatever. But then they bump, then they go back down in 26. Why?
So for MOME, I would have to defer to the commissioner of MOME to answer the specific budget-related questions, as they're the most intimately familiar with how and why the budget shifted in the way that it did.
Yeah, because they have a new charge. They have to do press passes and approve, and they said they really didn't receive personnel to vet people. So they kind of just now, the office actually said this to my staff, that we actually have no budget to vet anybody before we give them a press pass. And that's very dangerous, because when you don't vet the person and you give them a press pass, they have access to behind the scenes.
Yep.
And there have been, in the past, in the history of New York, assassinations based on, or attempted assassinations based on somebody infiltrating the press area. So I think that's important, that we fund them enough, and through it's under your purview though, right? The technology part of it?
Yeah, so in terms of the specific needs of headcount and people associated with MOME, I would have to defer to the commissioner of MOME or the first deputy mayor, who they report to, around their specific needs in that space.
All right, just one, can I ask one more? Text to 911, are we getting more use out of that? Because that was a big improvement, I think, but I don't think we advertise it enough. So have you seen an increased improvement on text to 911 usage?
So text to 911 usage has been consistent over the last couple of years. We can get the historic usage trends to you, so you can see how that's moving. In terms of advertising campaigns and of how we could get that out more, I think we can take another look at that. We've worked very closely with the deaf and hard of hearing community about making sure that they know the service was available and getting it out to their constituency. But I think that there's always room for improvement, and we can see how we can get better.
Yeah.
But before we go too far,
could I just,
Sure.
Not only for the hard of hearing impaired, but for domestic violence, it's very important to push that, because many times you get on the phone to 911 and somebody is going to get hurt doing that.
Yeah.
Right?
We've got a lot of good examples of how text to 911, whether it's a small kid hiding in a closet texting saying that something's happening and they don't know what's happening, or it's someone that's subject to domestic abuse. Like, there are many good cases for text to 911, and I think broader awareness of it only helps the city, and we can figure out how we can do that. But one of the things that you mentioned around 311, and this gets back to something that Councilmember Botcher had said earlier about leveraging AI. A lot of the chat assistants that exist are capable of understanding the context of an issue and bringing that forward into a service request. And what that does is it simplifies the amount of information that you have to provide. So instead of providing or answering 12 questions based on the history that you've interacted with an agent with, it knows how to bring all that stuff forward so that you don't have to keep providing the same information over and over again. I'm happy to report that coming soon, that's one of the enhancements that will be coming forward to the public. And I'd be happy to get you early access so you can see as one of 301's power users, so that you can see how that looks and we can get your feedback early on. I'd be remiss if I didn't say part of the success behind the 301 app and the reason why it's as good as it is because of feedback that came directly from you in your office. So glad and happy to work with you on it.
I thank you. And speaking of feedback, I just one other.
Got Councilmember Brewer waiting. Can you wrap it up?
Yes, I'm going to just the 311 surveys.
Yep.
Because I filled them out, and I fill them out all the time because but I don't know the outcome.
So we recently launched a program, a public-facing portal called RSAT, that gives the public a view at the surveys that have been conducted by people that's leveraged 311. It shows you how they rate the agent, and it also shows you how they rate the agency response to their service complaints. We can share that with you. We're also looking at enhancing the level of surveys and the context behind the surveys that are conducted, so that we can get more rich feedback around when people are dissatisfied, what is driving the dissatisfaction, so we know what actions to change so that we can get better satisfaction out from the public.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Brewer?
Thank you very much. I'm a big fan of Live XYZ, as you know, started by Blaze at SBS. And it's been helpful, I think, to us and to agencies figuring out economic development in their areas. What's the status, update, and plan for continuing funding, if you know?
As I understand it, I don't think there's any jeopardy of losing.
It wasn't in the preliminary budget. That's why we're asking for the mayor. It wasn't in the budget.
It wasn't in the preliminary budget?
No.
So I'd gladly follow up with the council to see if it's covered under a different line or where that budget is covered. But Live XYZ, in terms of providing additional context on location, has been critical for our operation.
Okay.
So we gladly
If you
follow
could
up.
get back to the chair, because they called me and I don't have an answer for them, so.
No worries. I will gladly follow up.
Okay, thank you. Second, just E-rate. I don't know, I assume that libraries, et cetera, still have E-rate in schools. Is that true? And is there some worry about it, et cetera, with the feds?
I believe, as you said, that they still do have E-rate. Is there a concern about them losing it?
Well, it's called Mr. Trump, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I worry because it's a kind of program that makes it, possible to have library connectivity and school connect, et cetera. I just didn't know if you knew any more about it than I do.
Yeah, so I think connectivity as a whole, as we've seen over the last couple of years, pre-Trump, on the federal level, the last administration defunded ACP. I think for us, we are very focused on the New York City population to see what we can do on securing access and putting us in control of our own destiny. We've got a couple of things that we're working on right now, especially around students, that we are excited to get out and talk about, which will put them on a similar path to what we've done with programs like Big Apple Connect, where we funded connectivity, we funded access, and we've removed our dependency on external providers from doing so. In terms of what the federal government's plans are and how are they going to impact libraries, I have no specific knowledge in that space any greater than you do. And I'm a big believer that connectivity and access is fundamental. And if you take that away from kids, it basically closes a lot of doors.
No, I agree. I mean, E-rate has been great, so I guess I'm always just worried given the circumstances. So
Yeah.
love to know what your ideas are for libraries and schools. It's free for them, so.
Yep. So I think as we get closer to the next announcement, I'd gladly sit down, and everyone here has been a big supporter of providing access to those that need it. And I think one of the things that we're doing with schools very soon, I think you'll be very supportive of.
Okay, public access TV. I want to get an update. Obviously, I work with Manhattan Neighborhood Networks. People work with other boroughs. You have it for the city. Can you give me any update? We have less cable, all of that. Is there anything new about public access? I don't know when the next upcoming Verizon, et cetera, contracts are.
Yeah. So in terms of, as we currently stand, there's no projected change to public access television. In terms of renegotiating the cable franchises and looking at what the long-term play in these spaces are, we are in conversations to look at that. But as it stands right now, at this moment in time, we have no projected change.
When are the contracts up? Does it depend on the carrier?
No, so the contracts are currently in a holdover state.
Okay.
So we
all of them are in holdover.
all of them are in a
Oh, I
holdover
didn't
state.
know that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Kiosks. What's the status? I guess though Manhattan doesn't like those tall ones at all. So I was just wondering the status of the kiosks. I have to give them credit because they do put on community board and nonprofit information, and it's very, very helpful. We use it every single day for town hall meetings, et cetera. So I just was wondering, how much are you getting from it, and what's the future?
Yeah, so we are continuing to deploy kiosks and maintain the existing ones that are out. As it stands today, we are still seeing utilization that shows that the demand for those services are needed in all areas. Although the residents of the areas may not be consumers of the service, but people that commute into those areas may be dependent on it. The biggest example I give is a kid that is getting on the train leaving public housing where they have access at home, and now they get out the train with a device that doesn't have cellular connectivity, but they want to call home to say, Mom, I made it to the museum, Mom, I made it to the park, or I'm going to be back home, or I'm heading back home. Those kiosks provide millions of connections every year and millions of free phone calls every year, so the need is there. In terms of our deployment is, a part of this phase, we have an additional 2,000 kiosks that are mostly focused in equity districts, and we're chugging along at those deployments. In terms of the advertising revenue and the things that we see off the Link 5G franchise, I'd have to defer to our Deputy Commissioner for Management and Budget.
So currently, OTI has a budget of 142.3 million.
103 million?
No, our overall budget, 142.3. Of that, we have, I believe it's 19.9 million in mobile franchise
Okay.
funding.
Okay, that's what it's called, mobile rent, whatever it is.
Yeah, and the 143, that's revenue, correct?
That's revenue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's revenue, okay.
Yep.
A long time ago, when Dominic Carter and I launched the first Time Warner, now Spectrum, Open Computer Center. What happened to them? Supposed to be 100. Do you know how many of them there are? Did they come through?
So we launched a map available on nyc.gov/OTI
Okay.
that gives access to all of the public computer centers. In addition to the public computer centers that you help spearhead in that space, we've also launched 5G centers recently that gives, or gigabit centers recently that give people access to the highest speeds of broadband, and not just that, devices and skills training. In terms of the total number, I would have to get back to you, but there are over 100 of them.
Okay, I'm just saying Spectrum, or it used to be Time Warner, they had a contract. They're supposed to do X. So I happen to know some of them not open when they're supposed to be.
Okay.
So who's overseeing? There may be other ones that you run or other carriers, but this one in particular, I don't think they're doing what they're supposed to do. I don't know what the contract is, but I think it's supposed to be open certain times, supposed to have staff there, et cetera. So I want to know who's overseeing what was promised?
So if it was committed and it's part of the franchise, we
It
are
is.
the authority that's supposed to review that. So what I'll do is I'll take the feedback back. I'll get
Back
with
to the chair?
the franchise administration team and get back to the chair.
Okay. Open data, this is my last, open data is my baby, that's my bill.
Yep.
Okay. It needs a lot of updating. Who's in charge of, I guess, open data 2.0, 3.0, or whatever?
Yep.
Is that you? Is that operations? Who's supposed to be doing that?
So open data falls under the Office of Tech and Innovation, and under OTI, we have the city's chief analytics officer, which is Martha Norick, or who is Martha Norick. In addition to the chief analytics officer, we have an application development team that's responsible for building out the infrastructure that supports open data. We're currently in a space where we're going through a back-end upgrade. A lot of the infrastructure supporting this it's over a
Old.
decade old,
I know.
right? So we're in the space of upgrading and renovating that data as we speak. So my office is currently working on that.
Can you update us about what it is that you're doing at some point?
Yeah, so I would gladly put together with the list of follow-ups that we have for the chair.
Okay.
We'll gladly provide that back to council.
Okay, and then there's a hope from, I guess, some of this private business community that it could be somehow integrated with AI efforts. In other words, there would be ways that this data could help, or AI could help this data be sort of what Councilmember Bacha was talking about. I was at a meeting about that this morning. So I would love an update on what you're doing on open data.
Roger that.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. I wanted to just kind of go back and just get clarity from you, Deputy Commissioner, on the contracts. I just want to make a distinction. I think the amount, can you just confirm the amount of contracts and then contracts with amendments? Because I think we have a different number on our end.
For which project?
I'm so sorry, for my city. My apologies, I should have given you that. For my city. So the amount of contracts and if that's different than contracts that include amendments.
Okay, for my city, we have,
I think you said 78?
we have
78
a total of 78 contracts.
I'll just tell you, on our end, we have 113, including amendments.
Oh, including amendments?
That's, yeah, so I just said you can
Correct. Okay.
confirm.
I'll have to get that number because, yeah, we have 78 registered contracts, but yes, from time to time, there are amendments. So that includes the amendments. But it's 78 contracts, but then amendments could
78
be
unique
added to a
contracts.
contract, yes.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. If you can get back to us, if you don't have it in front of you, if you can confirm the amount with amendments.
I mean, transactions, okay.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, Deputy Commissioner. Commissioner, can I ask about, these are short questions, about the MoCaFi contract? Yeah. I'll read them off. You tell me what you can answer.
So, sure.
Can you share if there is any update on the demonstration project that OTI was working with MoCaFi?
Given the deployment of MoCaFi to support the Asylum Seeker Initiative, we
The
had
which initiative?
the Asylum Seeker
I'm sorry.
Initiative, which wasn't run by OTI, was run by other agencies. We put the demonstration project basically in a standstill state to see the success that we could glean from the other programs, and that's the current state where it currently sits.
So it's tabled.
Yeah, that is right.
Okay. And the demonstration projects was just for the debit cards?
That is correct.
And My City at all?
Yeah, it was for the Fairs program, the Fair Fairs.
Okay.
Yeah, that is correct.
Do you know how much the city paid to MoCaFi at all?
We didn't pay anything to
Nothing, okay.
MoCaFi as part of the program.
Does MoCaFi have any access to?
Just clarification, we didn't pay anything to them as part of the demonstration program. Remember, MoCaFi is a completely separate initiative that was run by other agencies through the Asylum Seeker program, for which I believe they were paid.
For the asylum seekers?
Asylum Seeker program, which
I
has
understand.
nothing to do with.
But okay, thank you for clarifying that. Do you know if MoCaFi still has access to any, or if they ever had, do they still have access to city data?
I would have to defer to the agencies that manage that initiative because they manage the data dissemination and the contract with Mocafy directly, that wasn't done by my office.
Okay. Would they have any access through the My City demonstration project?
No, no.
And so it was, as of when did OTI table or the demonstration project or partnership, is that a standstill since when?
This would be November 15th of last year.
Okay. Can you share if did it have anything to do with the DOI probe into their contract?
No, when we looked at it, we had an agency, we were looking to get a demonstration project off the ground to prove value, to see if they could be useful. When we had another agency that launched a service that was providing access to asylum seekers for benefits. So it gave us the capability to evaluate their success to see if it was worth pursuing future success.
Okay. Okay, that's clear. Thank you. Oh, I wanted to actually let me get back to that. On I have a question about new needs funding, about the capital project. Let me see. The preliminary plan added an additional city funding of $32.6 million in FY25. This budget line has been added to OTI's budget in the last few financial plans for capital ineligible spending. Can you share what makes a project capital ineligible?
The New York City Comptroller has a Directive 10. Directive 10 establishes what capital eligibility requirements are. And based on Directive 10, the Office of Management and Budget evaluates programs to see if they align to the capital requirements. Programs are then provided to, programs are then, after evaluated by OMB for capital eligibility, are funded based on the specific portions of a program that may be capital eligible. So capital ineligibility may mean that
a weird arrangement of
I'm
words.
sorry?
It just strikes me as like a weird phrase.
So
but
capital eligibility.
keep it simple for me, please.
Yeah, sure. Capital eligibility requirements basically means that following Directive 10, you have a set of programs that Directive 5. Yeah. So, I saw. Yeah. So, so Directive 10, which sets forth a set of program requirements that basically determine whether a program is capitally eligible.
Mm-hmm.
That means that the program has to have a useful life, depending if
I
it's
see.
technology, of 3 to 5 years, depending on the type. If you're looking at things like tablets, if the tablets aren't affixed to something that's capitally eligible, then the tablets themselves are not capitally eligible. If the program has any sort of annual recurring maintenance is not capitally eligible because anything purchased with the capital, the funds has to have a useful life of 3 to 5 years. So the eligibility requirements are fairly, I wouldn't use the word complex, but
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. I'm sorry. It was just I've never capital. It just struck me that it was worded in this way. So does this mean that the funding can also pay for personnel associated with capital projects?
Yeah, depending on the scope of the arrangement. So what could happen is you could develop a program. As part of that, you have consulting services.
Mm-hmm.
Those consulting services could be used to deliver an application or a service that has a useful life of greater than 5 years, as long as from the time that service is concluded, the life past that point is 5 years. So it could conceivably include personnel.
Sure, thank you. And then so the addition of $32.6 million in FY25, can you share what amount of headcount that covers then?
I would defer to our Deputy Commissioner of Management Budget.
Thank you. And if you have the titles.
The 32.6 million was related to actual expense money that's associated with capital projects for a couple of divisions that we had approvals from OMB, 311 infrastructure management, applications, and cyber command. So there's no head count. This is all expense money for the associated expense of a capital project.
Right, but expense could cover personnel. This doesn't cover personnel?
No, right, this is just covering, the actual maintenance of these programs.
Yeah, so a lot of times after a project is delivered, let's say for the 311 upgrades, which Councilmember Holden loves, when it comes to annual maintenance on those licenses, the annual maintenance and licenses and the support is not capitally eligible. So what happens during the first phase is OMB will fund the capital side of the program, saying that you can deliver the program. Once the program is fully delivered, then you come back and you say, well, we need funding to maintain the service lines associated with it. And that funding is provided post-delivery of the capital part of the project.
Okay, okay. I have a couple questions about the child care programs map, but if you can just keep it short, because I think we can certainly make time to dig into them a little deeper.
I'm with you.
Sorry?
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Okay. My understanding is that the preliminary plan includes funding of 1.2 million in FY25 and baseline of 1.1 in FY26 for this child care programs map. I know it's going to be a screening process for parents, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be spearheaded by the Office of Child Care, separate from the My City portal, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you have a sense of what the timeline for the completion of that program is? I know it's a separate office, but do you have a sense of the completion?
Yep, so our projected timeline takes us through the end of this calendar year.
Okay, so the end of 2025. And is the baseline funding for a vendor to maintain this map until FY 2028?
Yeah, so the baseline funding provides funding to cover licenses, services, and support of the map itself.
Through FY 28?
I'd have to defer to the Deputy Commissioner of Management and Budget.
Currently, this isn't, it's in the out year, so it goes baseline, there's no end of funding.
Oh, sorry, say that again, I'm sorry.
Baseline means it's permanently in your budget.
Okay, but I mean, with the same vendor.
Well, the funding is in the budget. I'm not sure if it will be the same vendor, but the funding is there.
Okay.
No funding is baselined associated with the vendor in perpetuity. It's just acknowledged as the annual expense that's required to maintain the system.
I see, thank you. And can you briefly share how this child care program map will look different or be different than the My City portal, or are you going to move everything into this map?
Yeah, so the My City portal is for application for benefits. This is giving you a program map to show you what facilities, where they're located, eligibility requirements. It's a pictorial representation of what's available across the city versus what's in place right now is applying for a benefit that you could leverage at any one of these facilities.
Okay. Okay, I feel like it sounds like there might be some overlap, though.
Well, one is an application to apply for a benefit. Once you receive the benefit, the other one is a map to show you where you could use it. It's like getting, this may not be a good example, it's like getting a fast pass at Disney. It's like, all right, here's a fast pass. These are all the rides where you can use the fast pass at.
Okay, well, I look forward to it. And then and you said it's expected to be completed by the end of this year?
By the end of the year.
Okay. Okay. Can I ask questions on just 311 headcount?
Sure.
These are some small numbers, but 311's budgeted headcount for FY25 is 386. The actual headcount as of this January is 356. Is that accurate on your end?
So the budgeted headcount that we have for 301 right now is 248, and we're currently active at 239. We have a 9%. We have 3.6% vacancy at 9.
Okay, well, I'll double check our end, but how do you plan to, what is the amount of vacancies, 3%?
We have 9. It's 9 vacancies, which is 3.6%.
Oh, 9 vacancies, okay. Any plan on how you will fill them?
Yeah, so we have classes that we conduct quarterly that brings new 301 call center operators in. One of the things that we have a big challenge around is retention. And we're trying to figure out new ways, new incentives to keep people motivated with staying with city service. Also, when people take these jobs and these opportunities, it requires people to be available regardless of what's happening out in the universe, and that's not always.
I'm so sorry, can you say that again?
I said when people take jobs like 311, it's also a heavy tax on a person, because regardless of what's going on externally, 311 is a service that has to be available. So a lot of times when people come in the door, they may not consciously think about, oh, while there's a middle of a storm, I have to get to work to answer a phone. So a part of retention, that becomes a part of our retention challenge, because people, once they're faced with a couple of challenges like that, they may not want to do it. So being more transparent about what's required as part of the job, creating more incentives, figuring out how we can extend the quality of life for those that do that job is something that we actively look at on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you. And how long, or I guess like how long have you had these vacancies existed in 311?
So the vacancies fluctuate from quarter to quarter. With every new class that comes in, we backfill vacancies that are in place and we put people in those seats. And as we bring in a new class, we lose people. So it's a pipeline that's sort of continuous. Sometimes we get to a space where we have no vacancies,
Right.
or sometimes we're getting to a space where we're over headcount, but because of attrition, it kind of balances itself out by the time we get to the end of the year.
Okay. I'm just gonna ask a couple more questions about Big Apple Connect and then pass it to Councilmember Brewer for a second round.
Just on three,
Go, I was just gonna ask a few more. Is that okay?
of course. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So I just want to go back to Big Apple Connect, Commissioner, because Councilmember Brewer also raised a really good point about programming that she didn't see in the preliminary budget. For Big Apple Connect, we didn't see the funding in out years beyond FY25. I know that the contract is set to expire this year, and then you have the option for an extension. Just curious, it wasn't there. What can you tell me about kind of what it's going to look like for you all to make the baseline a reality?
Yeah, so we've been working very diligently with the Office of Management and Budget to advocate for the program and to talk about what the projected needs are for the out years. We believe we have initial commitments in place where the funding will be baselined starting next fiscal year.
Okay. And we won't know until
the new plan comes out.
Yeah. And then on Big Apple Connect, do you anticipate any services, any changes to services?
Only for them to get better. When we negotiated our definition of high speed, in most cases the federal definition is 25 megs down. The average person that's getting Big Apple Connect today is getting 300 megs down, right, which is a significant increase on what the federal perspective is. We want to ensure for our franchisees that they understand that as they make upgrades to their commercial networks outside of public housing, those same upgrades have to be brought into public housing. And as part of every negotiation that we have, looking to increase service levels, increase capacity is something that we're actively looking at doing.
Okay, increasing capacity. Do you have a sense of how many people, of the people that signed up, or maybe the homes more specifically, signed up for Big Apple Connect, how many of them did not have internet access before?
So the average amount of households that had internet access in public housing, it fluctuated by development. Some of them were as high as the high 50s.
That did not have internet access.
That did have access, which means that 40% and below did not have access, and some of them were as low as the 40s, 30s to 40s, which means that on average, across the board, we've seen an average of 30% increase, 35% increase in the amount of connectivity across public housing as part of Big Apple Connect.
And do you have that by development? Would you be able to share that of
We
just
do.
the percentage?
We do.
Okay.
We have a connectivity dashboard
Okay,
that
great.
we can share.
Oh, that's right. I'll pass it to Councilmember Brewer for questions.
Just on the 311, I know in the past it was city employees, King, and CUNY, and I understand CUNY is no longer part of 311. Is that correct? And so is it still King then and city employees?
Yeah, so there's King, there's city employees, and CUNY, we have interns that participate.
You still
And
have them,
we
because I
still-
thought they were no longer part.
I
They are.
believe we still have interns that are part of 301 operations. King Teleservices helps support the overflow. So with 301 call volume, especially during high event days, the amount of volume surges, and when that surge happens, we want to make sure that everyone gets to a phone as quickly as possible. So we retain services from King Teleservices that helps us deal with the surge.
Okay. I mean, I know you talked about AI answering questions sooner before you get to a live person.
Yep.
Don't put too much on that info before you get to the live person. It's
Yeah.
horrible. Just a suggestion, because otherwise people will just turn off. Secondly, on my city where it says jobs, I know you go to Workforce One. I think that's where
Yep.
just so you know, I have lots of young people who are going to Workforce One, and it's okay. But when you go to my city, it also mentions the upcoming, job fairs, et cetera.
Yep.
Workforce One doesn't tell you about that. So it's not you. I don't know. This is whose agency this would be under, SBS ostensibly. But what you have is fine. There's a disconnect there.
Yep.
So people, it's not so easy to get a job. Because I'm working with 3 or 4 migrants with working papers, and it's fun for me to see through their eyes what city of New York does or doesn't do.
Yeah.
And so the job world and what you have there isn't necessarily what Workforce One is doing. So I don't know. Somebody needs to look a little bit more carefully at what you're producing, what they're producing, et cetera. Just a suggestion, because I know what Workforce One is or isn't doing, and then you have other kinds of information. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. Part of the challenge when we looked at NewYorkCity.gov, NYC.gov, and the entire web presence, I'm not ashamed to say when I looked at it, I felt like it was abysmal, especially the job for those that were seeking jobs for the city.
yeah.
If my first experience with the city was going on the careers page, I might have thought twice about applying for any city service, which is why we rebuilt the jobs portal. We put a lot of effort into making sure that it was best in class. We modeled it after how Netflix, Amazon, Google, how they attracted talent, and we built a portal that looks like a lot like that. Currently, we have a great team under our strategic initiatives umbrella that's looking at NYC.gov as a whole and looking at how we can streamline content, because as you said, there's a lot of places where content is out of line, and we could do a better job at serving people that need access to it. So I will take the feedback back, and we have a great relationship with SBS,
Yeah.
and we'll work with them to see how we can streamline and rationalize content.
Okay. Now, you're not in charge of the Green Book NYC, right? That is DCAS?
That is DCAS.
It sucks. So you should tell them.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying.
No, no, so let me
You get a
clarify.
little, it's online, so you get a little, might be OTI. The numbers are wrong, the people are wrong, everything is wrong.
Yeah.
So I have my old Green Book, so I just go to the Green Book, I can figure it out, put a new name in, get the inside number.
Yeah.
But not everybody can do that. So you could put a little fire under DCAS to upgrade it.
You know what? I will say, as the Chief Technology Officer for the City of New York, although it may fall under DCAS's purview, it's still my responsibility. So I'll gladly take the feedback away and work with my colleagues at DCAS to make it
Thank you.
better.
Otherwise, I'm going to call all those numbers, and then I'm going to do a press conference saying none of these numbers answer.
You know what? I don't want you to be in that space. So let me
Thank
see what I
you.
can do about that.
Thank you very much. It's really bad. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Councilmember. And I'd like to acknowledge committee member, Councilmember Vicky Palladino, who is joining us on Zoom. Okay, we're almost there. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Okay.
Happy to be here.
I'm good. I wanted to ask on just a couple of just definitions that I'm unclear about that I saw in the preliminary budget. But before that, can I just ask for under funding for applications? The preliminary plan includes 22.1 million in FY25 and 1.1 in the out years. Can you share what specific applications will be covered by this funding?
I defer to our Deputy Commissioner for Management and Budget.
And when you say applications, is this applications division or is it?
So I think that's what I'm asking, just
It was
the
a pro-
specific, is it applications, is it like a My City? Just clarity on what applications, it literally just says funding for applications, so we're unclear on our end also.
Right, okay, if it says for applications, the applications divisions, the ones that handle citywide systems.
Okay,
Right.
okay, just the citywide, can you give me, is an example of, what's an example of a citywide system? Is it My City?
Well, for the expense, most of our expense money is coming from capital projects and this maintenance.
No, I understand, but the funding for a citywide system under OTI is what kind of a system? If you can give me an example.
I'll have to get that detail. It would be some,
A citywide system can be anything from NYCID, which is a citywide authentication portal that everyone
Okay.
uses. It could be anything from NYC.gov. NYC.gov as a platform has infrastructure, has an application layer that sits on top that supports it. Data share between agencies, or what's known as Data Bridge, is a citywide application service that's used to share information between agencies. The applications division at OTI is largely responsible for supporting any applications that support agency operations outside of OTI. So when you think about everything from agencies like TCAS all the way across the board to corrections, all the way across the board to anything else, there may be components of their digital process that's hosted by OTI, and the applications team and the supported funding goes to support those systems.
So can you, the funding level for applications at adoption last year was only 1.1 million, and the preliminary plan, the increase of that same budget is an additional 21 million. Can you explain why the increase?
So over the last couple of years, we've undertaken a number of initiatives, including major systems upgrades for other agencies, including shifting things towards the cloud, streamlining applications on certain platforms. So for us, in order to get into the detail, we would have to look at every system that was done within the last 2 years, where capital funding may have fallen off and expense funding has stepped in. And in addition to that, we've seen a number of large increases in legacy application support costs. What tends to happen as you get near the end of a refresh cycle, it becomes more expensive to keep the legacy systems on board. And as we approach a place where we may be migrating off platforms, a common practice that vendors use is to increase the pricing in the final years to force you either to buy new products or to shift off their platforms.
Okay. Can I ask about the Housing Recovery Office? Just one question. The preliminary plan includes 1.2 in FY25 and 130,000 in the out years. Can you explain just the specifics and the drop off and what that office does?
Yeah. So the details around around HRO, I would have to defer back to the Deputy
You don't
Mayor
have to get
Corporation.
too much, but I guess if you can would you be able to explain what the drop off in 1.2 in FY25 and then 130,000 in the out years?
For the budget particulars on HRO and the shift, I'd defer to the Deputy Commissioner of Management and Budget.
so HRO, the funding covers 9 positions.
9 positions.
And it's annually adjusted every year, but OMB actually puts some money into our budget every fiscal year.
And say that again, I'm sorry.
Every fiscal year, we get funding to fund those 9 positions from HRO.
Okay, no, I understand. My question is just, and maybe we can follow up on this, is just there's a significant drop off in funding, 1.2 in FY25 and 130,000 in the out year. So is
Right.
that intended to still just fund those 9 positions?
Exactly. It keeps dropping and then it's added back every fiscal year.
Oh. Say that again? Oh. Commissioner, can we, or Deputy Commissioner, excuse me, under public safety funding, can you just confirm under OTI, is that specific to 911 infrastructure or something else?
It's specific to public safety needs across the board. So it could be 911 infrastructure, it could be emergency communications infrastructure across the board, not explicitly 911, but it could be anything that's in the public safety umbrella.
Okay, I think we'll have some follow-ups on that. Okay. Now, I just want to get to, very briefly, the digital equity plan that was released last week. I know that both you and Councilmember Juan, on which I agreed, were talking about, I think it was ultimately Initiative 5, the refurbished devices, putting them where we're needed. So I passed the bill in June 2023 with DCAS. Similar, I'm just trying to get a sense of that. If this initiative, it's local law 81, that makes it so that, gently used devices, computers, in the city can be refurbished for nonprofits specifically. Is that this?
So that's definitely a part of this. So it's looking at, for citywide infrastructure, the things that we purchase, how can we reuse them in responsible ways and create some extensibility and opportunities for both the partners that are working with us and the agencies that are servicing the public, and leveraging those assets to help support a more connected New York City. In addition to that, it's looking at creating roles that are dedicated to looking at this as a long-term initiative. Currently, we have strategic goals across multiple agencies that are focused on providing digital equity as an overall strategic goal, but this is the first time that we would be creating a role that's exclusive at coordinating that effort across all agencies and making sure that the city or the administration places a permanent emphasis on making this a cornerstone of how OTI and the city operates going forward.
And who is the agency responsible for tracking these devices and, placing them where they need to be?
So currently, as part of the digital equity roadmap, we are creating a role, the chief digital equity officer, and that person in that office and that end will be responsible for not just spearheading the programs, but working with agencies to build a construct of how we track and disseminate these types of assets.
Tell the chief equity officer, whenever you hire them, they don't have to build anything out because it's already a bill and it's with DCAS. And so I would just implore you all to look into that to ensure that it is, meeting your criteria, but it exists, and they're supposed to report back on how that process is. So if you all want to expand it or amend it, it exists, and I would love for that to be integrated because it's already a bill we passed.
Fantastic.
So I'm a fan, obviously, because we've done that. Under the same roadmap, under Initiative 6, the plan relies on collaboration with the Connected Communities program, as well as the section on public computer centers. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the Connected Communities program has baseline funding of about 214 through parks in FY26 and the out years. I'm telling you that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you.
It doesn't strike me as like a big amount of funding. We don't see it funded throughout beyond the out years of FY25 through aging libraries. Is there a reason why? Can you speak to that? This is a big announcement that you all made. We don't see it in the out year fundings. How do you intend on securing the funding in the out years, both the Department of Parks and the aging or libraries?
So very similar to what we saw with Big Apple Connect funding. Funding on these scales are handled year to year. And when we get to a space where we have a stable projected need, then that becomes a part of our baseline operating expense, but it takes some time for us to get there. As it stands right now, just being part of the annual funding process, it follows the same path as many of our strategic initiatives.
Say that last part again?
It follows the same path as many of our strategic initiatives.
Okay, but there's no, I guess because this wasn't reflected in the preliminary budget and this announcement was made after, I think my flag is like, how can you tell it will be, how can you guarantee that it'll continue to roll out in this way, that it'll be funded in the out years? And so it's kind of like a risk or a risky game in that you know, you kind of do it piece by piece.
Yeah, I think for us, it works very similar to how pretty much all of the new initiatives that we launch work, working year to year on funding, and where
I
funding.
think some new initiatives, are you referring to OTI initiatives or just in the city?
OTI initiatives, yeah. A lot of our initiatives, we go year to year on funding, and then a lot of the funding that we secure is based on savings that we actualize. So we've been very successful over the last couple of years of striking large enterprise deals where it doesn't require a net new change to our operating budget. We just reclaim money by being smarter by using the existing money that we have.
Can you name one initiative where that is,
Sure.
that happened?
So we established TLAs, total license agreements with, matter of fact, we total license agreements with Cisco, Microsoft, all across the board, where we've essentially secured the same sets of services, got a higher quality of support, but by unifying the city spend under one umbrella, we get it for a cheaper price. Very similar to what we're doing with mobility, like the T-Mobile deal. Every agency pretty much had its choice around which devices they got and which carrier they went to. By unifying our purchasing ability under a majority carrier, we were able to save millions annually.
And that is the same as this, where it's year to year?
So initially, the mobility funding is year to year, meaning that every agency has funding in their own pot and they provide it to OTI towards the end of the year as we true up bills and so on and so forth. Very similar to new initiatives like we've done in the past, like Big Apple Connect. That funding appears year to year until we baseline it.
Okay. Okay. In the same roadmap, it mentions there's an internet network pilot, which is a New York State funded program with a state RFP that a nonprofit provider applied to. Can you share if the funds that you are including in the budget for this roadmap, does that include the money that's coming from the state that was already allocated to this nonprofit as part of their own digital equity plan?
Yeah, so it's a consolidation of initiatives that are run throughout the city. This one in particular is being run through HPD, which launched a pilot program to construct a wireless network to scope to provide free internet access to households receiving Section 8 assistance in the Bronx and Upper Manhattan.
Okay, can you confirm if that's a New York State funded program? That's not a program that the city is funding?
That's a New York State funded program.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, the New York State funded program was part of this particular project, which is, the provider is Flume, correct?
Flume.
Flume? So that particular project that you are including in the city's roadmap is the state?
No,
completely
so the state provides the funding, the city provides the vision and execution. So the money may come from the state level, it's still part of the city's overall initiative towards how we're bridging the digital equity divide.
Okay, and was OTI involved in the designation of the internet provider, Flume?
Yeah, so we work very closely with the HPD in this space. Whenever it comes to the deployment of technology, even if it's the deployment of technology out to the public, it's an area where we connect directly with the agencies, especially things that are as visible as this, to ensure that we're making sound decisions across the board.
Okay, so OTI you were able to weigh in on whether or not which provider would be designated?
We set the strategy and we let the agency evaluate the criteria to determine which provider, and we just validate that it was done in a sound, meaningful manner.
Okay. And the funding that you are including in the investment, which is, I think it's like 214 million, does that include those state dollars for this particular program?
The 240.
Let me just make sure, I'm so sorry. Let me just make sure that's the amount that you all had in your media release. 2.4, excuse me, 2.4 million in capital.
Yeah, that 2.4 million, that's not included. The state funders are not included in that.
That's separate.
That's
Okay.
separate.
Okay, excellent. And then I just wanted to ask on the T-Mobile announcement. You testified today about the bulk purchasing agreement with T-Mobile. Can you share what agencies are eligible?
All agencies.
All New York City agencies?
Yep, we issued a citywide mandate for mayoral agencies, but it's an opt-in for all agencies.
And what is the duration of the contract?
So the duration of the contract sets a 5-year term.
5-year term.
Yep, that gives us the highest class of connectivity with the highest level of support at the lowest cost in the nation's history.
Okay. Are you able to share at this time how many lines have been purchased?
So in total, we have our total cellular buying power across the city is over 100,000 lines.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
And that includes internet and text?
that includes unlimited voice, unlimited data.
Okay. And how much does it cost the city?
How much does the plan cost the city?
Yeah, I guess working with T-Mobile for these 100,000 or so devices, can you
Yeah.
share what is the cost?
So we're going to save. We can go through the detailed rate plans with council, and we can provide it.
Great.
But annually, we're going to save. We're going to save. We're going to save over 10 million annually.
You're going to save over 10 million?
Over 10 million annually.
Okay, but you don't have the amount of the existing, or I guess, do you know what the existing contract is?
The existing.
The cost?
The existing contract is registered between 3 different providers. So we have cell services split between AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. This majority services carrier will isolate them down and bring the vast majority of services onto one primary carrier.
Okay.
So in terms of sharing the details of each carrier and our existing spend, we can follow up with that.
Okay, thank you. All right, 504, not bad. Thank you, Commissioner. I just want to say, we'll send your team some follow-up questions. But I do want to just, in full transparency, we are also waiting some responses from the November hearing, and we've been following up. It was specific to my city portal. That's why I spent so much time on it today at this hearing. So I'm hoping we can get responses from that. We have not heard from your team. I'm hoping that we can improve that, and also, as always, just hoping that we can collaborate. This announcement, I think, is great on the digital access roadmap. I would love to dig a little deeper with you and your team, and so I'm hoping you can make that commitment to me and to us.
Yep.
To include us in this.
So I will make sure that we follow up in kind, and outside of the forum, have a sit down to go through the stuff in greater detail.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you again. I now open the hearing for public testimony. I remind members of the public that this is a formal government proceeding, that the decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant-at-Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant-at-Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 3 minutes to speak on today's hearing topic, the OTI's budget. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant-at-Arms. You may also email written testimony to testimony@council.nyc.gov within 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recordings will not be accepted. No? Okay. Now I'd like to welcome our first panel. We have Pastor Cabral and Michelle Blond-Monville. You can begin.
All together. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Michelle Ann Blomenville. I'm a health educator and former adjunct lecturer at NYU, with 40 years in the health and fitness industry, including also the health and safety department at the American Red Cross for over 15 years. I am speaking on behalf of all the everyday citizens who have been diagnosed with Havana syndrome or anomalous health incidents, some knowingly and others unknowingly, with the glaring awareness of the benefits afforded to our diplomats' counterparts. We certainly hold fast to the notion that one day we too will be recognized and compensated, and one day free from torture, pain, and invisibility. Everyday people are compromised of diagnosed Havana syndrome victims who have been experimented on and illegally put on various lists that I didn't know existed until various protocol came into place in my life and my mom's life. These these lists are distributed to various companies for experimentation purposes, targeting in various nefarious manners, and their heinous crimes, including organized stalking, smear campaigns, noise harassment, electronic assaults from various directed energy weapons, and non-consensual experimentation, socially and technologically. I'd like to backtrack a little bit to the previous meeting.
Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to wrap up, I'm sorry.
Okay. I'd like to backtrack to the previous meeting where the police have said that the drones are not weaponized. We've called the police several times, and they are even surprised when they look up in the air and see a whole host of drones up there. We're asking for protocol for them to address this. They're asking as well. Many of these businesses have FCC licenses to experiment on their employees, co-workers, or even, or whoever is targeted through organized stalking, like a nail salon where I frequent, where they frequently write in their phones while they're giving services, or accessoride drivers who speak out loud about our personal business. Where are they getting that information? The ultimate is remote access to our biology, which is our brain signature. It's a crisis.
Wrap up? I'm so sorry. I have your testimony here. Can you wrap up?
Sure. It's a crisis when a group of people have access to someone's biology for whatever reason and randomly cause them pain or harm. We are not safe. And I'm speaking on behalf of my mom, who's 86, a native of Panama, and my grandfather, who has passed away, who wrote a book on Panama and requested FOIA for information about Panama.
Is this your written testimony? What was provided?
Who has
okay. We have to wrap up, ma'am.
For Chase Manhattan Bank all her life, from her 20s to now retired. She has never worked anywhere else. She's never done anything wrong.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Next, we have the pastor.
Yes, do you have mine?
Yes, is it this together?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Good afternoon. Is it on? Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Gutierrez. I hope I say it well. Good afternoon, all the committee members, everyone else. Good afternoon. My name is Adlerette Kebro, and I am a pastor. I am an educator, and I also have a nonprofit organizations, and I'm also a consultant. I'm here this afternoon to ask the Technology Committee to go over the different technology that are out there. We know we're living in a day of technology, a digital, world. But are you aware of all different technology that are out there? On the 19th of February, I was here about post-act meetings. And one of the issues that I have noticed that the technology that we hear, that my friend is here to ask you to ban, which is a microwave radiation technology that is affecting people in their homes, in school, in colleges, everywhere that they go. And so, if you're not aware of that type of technology, I put everything under all the exhibits, under statements that you can, go over and check it out. Last year on May 8th, the Congressman on Technology had a big meeting about all that. And I will be glad to go over what is that type of technology, why it needs to be banned, and you also need to open an office where all the victims can come and share their testimonies with you. And I'm looking forward for you to ban that type of technology, microwave, or direct technology, weapons that are affecting the, U.S. citizens.
Thank you both so much. We have your testimonies here in writing. Thank you. I'd like to call up the next panel, Christopher Leon Johnson and Josip Bach.
Hello? Yeah, hello, Chair Gutierrez. My name is Christopher Leon Johnson. Thanks for having this hearing. I'm calling on the City Council to not stop ShotSpotter. I see that the City Council stated from last week with Yusuf Salam. I think, like I said before, outside the hearing, outside the rally to free Mahmoud Khalil, that Yusuf Salam is the most fascist, oppressive City Council member in these chambers because he likes to, I'm not here because he likes to oppress people's freedom of speech. And last time when I was calling this stuff out, I was saying like the ShotSpotter, the reason why the City Council is trying to get rid of ShotSpotter is to give all that money to these nonprofit organizations that want to get rid of it. So I'm calling on the City Council to preserve ShotSpotter. When there's a contract coming up with ShotSpotter to be renewed, it needs to be renewed because the ShotSpotter helps the NYPD and the various law enforcement agencies when it comes to knowing when these gunshots are getting fired. And it saves a lot of lives, and they help people, they help the NYPD catch these guys and gals that shoot up the high crime neighborhoods. I live in a high crime district, so I know what this is about. We need this in my district. The call for defunding of ShotSpotter is disgusting, and the chair of the Public Safety Committee, Yusuf Salam, you're a disgusting human being for calling this too, with the help of your friends, your boys and gals, like Raymond Santana, who's running for City Council. I say here, your boy Raymond Santana run for City Council, so of course you're gonna want that money to help your boy's campaign to run for election.
Sir, can you keep on topic?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on topic. And one more thing I want to say before is that Ms. Gutierrez since your district, the Worker Justice Project, you need to show support for Intro S992 4A and for Iwan Chu to make it a Class E felony to anybody that saw the Larista. And while I'm at it, I'm calling for the City Council to submit technology to implement technology for deliveristas for when they for hospital response. And at the same time, they need to start doing deliveries for like Riseboro. I know you have Riseboro in your district. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. Joseph?
Thank you.
There we go. Hey, can you hear me? Perfect. So I'm a licensed structural engineer. I'm a consultant hired by DCAS. I fixed this building last month. I did the City Hall, Chamber, like I do a whole bunch of DCAS courts. And I've been trying to get in touch with like DCAS, DOB, DOT, Julia Wong. She sent me to some other congresswoman, but I want to share an issue, like a technological issue that's been a serious blocker in my opinion. And I don't think I'm at the right place because what I've heard today, it was more of playing IT catch up rather than actual innovation. And to shoot it straight, when the CTO tells you that their vendor is pinky promising the safe, like privacy, the answer from you guys should not have been okay. Like that's like not you guys personally, but as someone that's in seat like chair for the innovation, when somebody's telling you about privacy like that, the first question is like, what is your encryption method, or something along that line, rather than we'll accept vendors pinky promise. Anyhow, please consider stepping away from using proprietary softwares such as Docs or Excel, because it's 2025. We no longer have to use Microsoft Word to communicate. And when we use Microsoft Word to have it, so I get paid by the city $175 an hour, and when I process my site inspection into Microsoft Word, that just gets printed into a PDF and gets stored in like a city basement that they pay me to go to look through, because none of the datas are actually live. It's kind of like Flat Earther, but like flat documenter, because all these documents are dead and they occupy space in the city. And I've been to like a whole bunch of colleges, courts, where just room full of paper that I can't find anything. And if you guys start considering accepting JSON or HTML, XML, whatever, it can all be in a single file that is open source. But please consider just randomly signing vendors, because what winds up happening is that I have to learn how to deal with these like vendors that cannot export their data model. And New York wants to keep their data in-house, and that's really not that hard, because when I went to DOB or all these people, I already made an app that I said we should open source it, and New York City should start investing in open source initiative, because there are a lot of people that will just voluntarily like help out. Like for example, being me, I already wrote a basic software that can process simple PDF and words and text, because no engineer or anyone in construction industry should have to pay $2,000 license a year to communicate. That's just not how we empower community. And I think that's my time. Thank you.
Thank you. You can submit your testimony as well if you have one.
And so if I want to share these kind of offers, where is the right place to go? Where can I, as a professional, like?
Well, what you shared today, you can submit to the following email. It's testimony@council.nyc.gov.
Is that just something that's gonna be like thrown in like a inbox somewhere? Can I actually expect like a response?
The committee staff will see it, and so if you have particular follow-ups, you can make sure to include that, and then there can be a conversation thereafter.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We will now turn to our witnesses joining us via Zoom. I was advised that we don't have any witnesses online. So if we have inadvertently missed anyone who has registered to testify today and has yet to have been called, please use the Zoom hand function and you will be called in the order that your hand has been raised. There's no one on Zoom. Thank you everyone for your testimonies today, and the hearing is adjourned.